Joining me now, Louisiana Congressman and new House Majority Leader Steve Scalise. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. What will the American people see coming out of the newly Republican-controlled House of Representatives on this?
Well, good morning, Degan. Good to be with you. And what you're going to finally see is real accountability and oversight, because for too long, the Biden administration's been living by its own set of rules. There's so many things that they've done that people have had questions about. Yet Speaker Pelosi covered for that. They wouldn't look into any of the failures of the Biden administration. This, of course, is one new example of the double standard of the Justice Department underneath the Biden administration, where they do one thing if it's Donald Trump and they do a completely different thing if it's Joe Biden. That's not the way that justice is supposed to work. It's supposed to be blind. Shouldn't matter if it's a Republican or Democrat. Yet you see the double standard on full display. It's about time we finally get some real oversight and accountability on this government.
Well, speaking of oversight, Congressman James Comer, head of oversight, have you had any discussions with him about what will happen? So the House Republicans, and this is the quote from Congressman Comer, Chair Comer, given the serious national security implications, the White House must provide the Wilmington residences visitor log. He wrote in a Sunday letter to White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain, and also he requested documentation of searches that Biden aides conducted, including the identity of the aides and the dates of those said searches. Have you had discussions with Comer about this, and will there be a schedule of hearings in the public? Like, just walk us, or really our viewers and the American people, through what kind of timeline Republicans are looking at with this.
Yeah, Degan, and I've actually had a number of conversations with now Chairman Comer, because Jamie has officially taken over as chairman of the Oversight Committee. Right. And he sent multiple requests to the White House, not just on this, but on so many other things. And, you know, you could see with the Hunter Biden laptop story, the double standard that was on display there, but also the serious questions it raises about, you know, who is the big guy? And I think a lot of people have asked that question. The White House has been shielded from it up until now, but Chairman Comer's asking those questions too. So it starts, number one, with making document requests to the White House on very specific things. This is something that came up along the way that, look, if Republicans didn't win the House, do you really think that the public would know that these documents were in Joe Biden's garage, just laying around his garage, classified information? This was known, by the way, before the election. Why did the Justice Department cover that up before the election? They sure didn't treat Donald Trump's raid on Mar-a-Lago that way. In fact, not only did they raid Mar-a-Lago, they leaked photos of those cover pages of those documents. Where are those leaked photos? Of course, you don't see it because there's a double standard. So a lot of this is going to be, number one, you start with requesting documents. We have subpoena power. They don't give those to us, where we can actually subpoena to get those documents. Then you bring people in. We're getting a lot of whistleblowers, by the way. Both Chairman Comer's committee and Chairman Jim Jordan's committee have had a lot of people reach out from within some of these agencies that are disgusted by the way that they've got some rogue agents out there kind of doing their own thing, wildcatting to carry out their political views. That's not how most of these career professionals want these agencies run. Yet there's some people that are doing that. So we're going to be looking into this on many fronts. Ultimately, you can then have hearings once you go and dig to get the facts from these agencies. And again, if they don't give those, we have subpoena power.
Which agencies and how many whistleblowers, Congressman?
Well, you've got a number of agencies. It's not just the agencies like the Justice Department, the FBI. You're seeing all the cabinet secretaries. Look at the border crisis. You know, with Secretary Mayorkas, we've heard from so many people that know that the border should be secured, and yet they've been told, the Border Patrol agents have been told to stand down. They can't even do their basic job of stopping drug cartels from bringing these drugs like fentanyl that are killing over 100,000 young people last year. So people want answers. People want their government to just work for them. Look at the Department of Transportation. I mean, last week, yet again, it seems like every week we have some major scandal there, you know, with this FAA debacle that shut down planes. You know, before that, you had the Southwest debacle that supposedly there may have been some information prior to that failure that it was going to happen, and yet the Department of Transportation did nothing. You know, you had a supply chain shortage under that agency. What are these secretaries doing? They're surely not serving the public. Maybe they're looking out for their own futures, but it's surely not helping the American people.
And not helping the American people is the tens of billions of dollars that the airlines got in bailout money during the COVID shutdown. I think only about a little more than a quarter of it has to be paid out. So in terms of the financial disaster of the COVID lockdowns, I point to that. Congressman, I've got a couple more things I want to ask you. One, so the word du jour among some Democrats about the Biden document disaster is embarrassing. That seems to be the best word they can come up with. I just wanted to get your reaction to that.
Well, another question, is it criminal? There was classified information sitting in a garage, not under lock and key, as was the case at Mar-a-Lago. So again, will they treat it the same way? Seems like they're letting President Biden's attorneys go through the classified documents. Do they themselves have the ability to look at classified information? Do they have those kind of levels of security clearance? A lot of questions to be asked. At least finally you have somebody willing to ask those questions now that the Republicans are in charge of the House, to get some accountability and some answers.
Yeah, gross negligence is in the statute. Did you handle classified information with gross negligence or grossly negligent, Congressman?
And if you're reviewing those, do you have the clearance to actually review those classified documents?
Right. And I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not even playing one on TV. I'm just quoting Andy McCarthy, who is a lawyer and worked in the Justice Department. Before we go, Congressman, Speaker McCarthy inviting President Biden to deliver State of the Union address on February 7th. Will he accept? And what do you anticipate Biden would talk about?
Well, I would hope he would accept that invitation, and I'd like to hear him talk about some of the things he's willing to work with us on. We ran on a very specific agenda of getting our economy back on track, building an economy that's strong. Things like securing the border, lowering the costs for families who are struggling out there, confronting so many of the other problems that people are facing. And by the way, stopping all this out of control spending. Let's talk about these issues. I hope the president comes and discusses that.
Great to see you. I would say that working together is part of the problem. Was the few Republicans, particularly over in the Senate, who worked with the Democrats during the last Congress to spend money, about $1.3 trillion of additional spending that was bipartisan.
It's time somebody starts working for those families who are struggling across America, because they've been left behind by Washington for way too long.
Right, exactly. Mitch McConnell standing in front of a bridge with Joe Biden was a sight to be seen. I won't force you to react to that, Congressman Scalise. Thank you so much.
Let's just start focusing on getting our economy back on track.
Yes,
and
sir.
Helping those families who are struggling. That's what we'll be doing. Great being with you, Degan.
Good to see you. Congressman Steve Scalise. We'll be right back.